What's up, y'all? Ryan from Oakland Ghost, and today I have another piece of gear that I wanted to share with you. Hopefully the final piece in my new studio setup, and that is the Chroma Console in matte black, the new colorway from Hologram Electronics. It's been a crazy month for me. I got my hands on a great deal on the Teo 5, and that was kind of taking up my time trying to learn it. And as I was learning that, I got the Semaforma Alt, which is a project that I backed on Kickstarter about 2 years ago, and it kind of showed up early. And now that's hogged all my time. And then after getting those, I kind of realized my studio space was getting a little too small and a little too cramped. So I had to tear it down and just rebuild my whole studio setup. That included getting a new mixer because I have too many synths that are stereo at this point. And luckily the new mixer had an extra aux send. And that meant time for another pedal or another effects. And this is what I decided to go with. So let's open the box. We'll take a look at what it looks like, and then I'll get it integrated in my setup, and I'll just kind of talk you through how I plan to use it in my setup, how I'm kind of integrating it in there, because it might be a little different from how other people use it. And then if we have time, maybe I'll just throw a generic sequence up and we'll run through some of the presets and just see what it sounds like. Sound good? All right, let's do it. All right, so I don't think there's that much in the box to check out here, but I am a sucker for good design, and when you have a nice aesthetic that goes along with your whole product, I just appreciate that. I'm an artist, what can I say? I appreciate it. And since this has what looks to be absolutely fabulous design, I thought I'd share it with you. I like that it's hand numbered, so I got a hand numbered console right here. And again, this is the matte black edition, which just came out. This isn't a new pedal. It's been out for about a year now, at least. Like I said, my new mixer had an extra aux send, and it seemed like a good opportunity to get some more effects. So this is what I went with. Let's take a look. Oh man, I'm so glad that it's smaller. I was actually kind of scared because the box is pretty big. Like, as you can see, this is a good sized box, and I was, it's about the size of my Dreadbox Nix or maybe the Vermona Monolancet, and I was kind of nervous that it was going to be almost synthesized for a second there, and I'm glad it's not, because I don't have a lot of room left on my desk. But looks like we have our power supply over on the side here. So you got either USB or 9-volt. That's nice. Looks like it came with a US connector. So probably you would get whatever you got for your country, which is good. So you got your power supply there, nice. And then here is the unit. Oh, look at that. Nice little bag. Oh yeah. And there she is. Look at that bad boy. Beautiful. I mean, I just love the design. It really is pretty gorgeous. So that's fun. Probably gonna keep that there. That looks like kind of a quick start guide, so it might come in handy when we get set up. And then last, it looks like we got some very groovy stickers, man, far out. We got a quick start guide. Very nice. Stick that bad boy over. So that's cool. Yeah, we got a really simple quick start guide. Always nice. But more importantly, it also has a really nice printed manual. And again, like I said, I'm a sucker for good design. And this is I appreciate having a printed manual. Man, this is pretty thick. It's pretty in depth. Okay, well, that's probably going to be coming in handy. I mean, honestly, the reason I got this pedal in particular is because it's kind of knob per function, and it's already kind of tuned to sweet spots. It didn't seem to me, at least in listening to it in examples, that it can get that really off the radar very far. Like, you're not going to get lost in the weeds. Even when you really crank things, it seems like it's tuned to be in a nice little sweet spot. So hopefully I won't need this too much, but still appreciate having it for when I do get lost on something. So yeah, let me get this set up in my setup. I'll get it integrated, and then I'll talk really quickly about how I plan on using it, how it's going to be integrated into my setup. And then, maybe we'll have some time to just kind of run through some of the different categories and listen to some of the effects they have. I'll just come up with a generic pattern and we'll run it through and see what it sounds like. All right, let's get to it. All right, so here we have the Chroma Console from Hologram Electronics. Now, I suppose the first, ooh, yeah, look at that. Look how clean and pretty that looks. It actually looks really good with the Taiga, with these buttons. They're almost the same style. So I guess the first question is, why the Chroma Console? The truth is, for me, I have been drawn to Hologram Electronics basically since the Microcosm came out. That was kind of when I was starting my DAWless journey, and like everybody probably in the world of GearTube, I was very, very enamored with the sounds coming out of the Microcosm. Ultimately, I didn't go with the Microcosm. I actually went with the Empress Soya. and I don't regret that choice. The microcosm to me kind of sounded a little bit like a one-trick pony. It did that trick very, very well, and it sounds great on everything it's put on, but it just wasn't that versatile. The Empress Zoya is much deeper. Pretty much any kind of weird effect or sound that you can think of, either you could create it or someone else has already created that patch and you could download it for free. So a lot of the things that I really liked about the microcosm, I'm able to get out of the Zoya. Of course, if Hologram Electronics wants to send over a microcosm so I could actually do a head-to-head comparison and see if that's accurate, I'd be happy to make that video. But the Chroma Console, I bought with my own money, and this was a lot more appealing to me when it came out. Obviously, because it is versatile. It's a multi-effects unit. It's got 4 different modules with 5 different effects each. So right off the bat, it's got tons of effects, but what's really cool about it is it's a chain, right? So you can pick an effect from each one of these things and create your own custom chain that's just going to be a unique sound, whatever you're going for. It just makes it so much more versatile. Now, how do I set it up in my system? My system, I think I maybe use it a little different than some people. I think most people probably just go directly in for whichever synthesizer they want, or guitar, etc. They just plug into the unit, come out the unit. That's not usually how I like to use it. So the reason I didn't get this earlier was because my mixer only had one aux send. So let me show you what I mean on my other screen. So the way that I like to use effects and pedals and stuff like that is I like to use it kind of like you do in a DAW, or I use in a DAW, where maybe I set up a delay or a reverb and I set that up on a bus channel. So I have a bus send, and basically I can then use these knobs to kind of dial in how much of that particular instrument I want to be sent to the effect. And what that does is kind of 2 things. I mean, obviously, the Chroma Console has a mix knob on its own, so you can dial in how much of the effect and the dry signal you want to be blended. But what this allows me to do with this setup is I can do, first of all, more than one instrument. I could do as many instruments as I have sends, and I can manually just kind of dial in how much of the signal I want to be sent to the effect. And so it just kind of gives me more flexibility of using one effects pedal to really affect a whole bunch of different synths. And it just gives more character to the whole overall track rather than one specific instrument. Now I have a patch bay, so I can set it up however I want. I think by default, what my plan is I'm basically just going to send the Chroma Console to my aux 2, like I said, and then I'll have it over here, and I'll just be able to dial it in however I want. But I think for the purposes of this demo, I'm going to do it more traditionally like probably other people do. I'm going to send the Mother 32 into the Chroma Console, and that way we'll be able to hear just what the Chroma Console sounds like instead of how I'm blending it with my aux sends, if that makes sense. So let me just patch that up, make sure that we have it coming through, and then I'm thinking, why don't we go through and take a look at each individual effect really quick. I'll just play it dry. I'll play it with a little bit of stuff on it, and maybe at the end we'll see if we can whip up a chain. But I just kind of want to give you an example of what the Chroma Console sounds like all on its own, basically. Let's get to it. All right, so the first thing that this tells me to do on this little card here is to kind of calibrate the incoming signal. So it looks like what we do is we kind of hold these 2 buttons until it turns purple. And then we just kind of play what we're going to send in. So I'm sending just a simple pattern that I have. And I think that means we're all synced up. So there we go. So let's turn off everything. So the way you switch between the different effects is you just turn them off. All right, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna start with the first module, which is character. That has a lot of things that would probably be most helpful to like guitar, I imagine. It's got drive, it's got Sweeten, it's got Fuzz, Howl, Swell. So let's just take a listen. This is what the dry signal of the Mother 32 sounds like. So right now, it's completely dry. We're gonna go with the Fuzz here. And I'm not sure, the drive is basically, it says it's like a tube-like drive with nothing but sweet spots. I mean, I like that. And the top knob says it shifts the tonal characteristics of the effect. So let's give it a try. So that's with minimal effect. I'm I'm going to just slowly turn it up. It's pretty sick. Now, I think what I like right away is that nothing's getting away from it. So yeah, this is the amount of the effect. So I'm just turning it all the way off when I come all the way over here. Let's try some tone. I'm going to go to the middle. So it gets a little darker that way and a little brighter when I go this way. Dope. All right, let's go to the next one. Let's go to Sweeten. So you just click the button and the different colors represent the different things. So this is Sweeten. And Sweeten says a pleasant preamp that adds EQ compression and gentle saturation. So you get a little crunch. I like that. That actually sounds really nice. A little darker this way. A little brighter this way. Yeah, I think a little bit, a little past halfway actually sounds really nice with the Sweeten. All right, moving along. Let's go to Fuzz. So this is Fuzz. It's a pretty gentle fuzz, which is nice. It's not getting too crackly. I feel like I'd use this more for guitar, but I don't know, maybe for a nasty bass or something like that, I could probably get away with this. It almost phases a little bit. Yeah, it's a nice fuzz. It'll work. All right. Next one is Howl. Let's listen to what Howl sounds like. It says Howl is a resonant filter fuzz with a lot of personality. Ooh, that's kind of tight, actually. That sounds kind of crazy when I go dark. Let's try bright. Yeah, like so far I feel like this, it's definitely dialed in for all sweet spot. Like you don't go too far off the rails if you really crank it. And usually right around 50% is pretty good for most of the effects I've heard so far anywhere. All right, and then the last one in this category is Swell. And that's an expressive envelope triggered volume swells. All right, so here's our dry. Let's hear what it sounds like. I mean, that's basically like an envelope on a synth, so I don't think it would be very useful on a synth. I could see how it might be useful on something like guitar that is obviously pluck. So, it has a sharp attack right off the bat, but I can adjust this on a synth. So I don't think this one would be terribly useful most of the time for me unless I'm using it on guitar. But there you go. All right. So that's the first category. That's character. Let's go over to movement. And movement is basically modulation tracks. So things you can modulate. You got like a doubler, a vibrato, phaser, tremolo, and pitch. So let's start with the doubler. All right. So there's our dry. That's pretty nice, actually. And then in this category, the top knob controls the rate of modulation. Okay, so one thing that is kind of cool about this pedal that I probably won't get into today, but you can do what's called gesture recording. And so basically after you get your patch dialed in, you can set it up to record and it'll record your knob twists. So you'd be able to get some pretty interesting movement, probably additional movement as it were, from the movement section with that. Anyway, that's doubler. Let's go check out vibrato. So again, we're at dry right now. And here comes the vibrato. Yeah, it's a decent vibrato. I could see how this could be useful maybe if you're trying to get some lo-fi stuff too. In any case, there you go, there's your vibrato. Next up we have phaser. Okay, that sounds sick. Okay, it gets a little unwieldy out here. But again, off and on. That's pretty sick. I actually like that. It's a subtle enough phaser, so that's what I like about it. It says it's a vintage voiced classic phaser effect. That's pretty cool. I think I could see myself using that one. All right, next up is tremolo. It's colorful pulsing amplitude modification. You can see the light kind of pulses at the speed. Yeah, sure. And all these effects are stereo, which is also great. All right, and last in the movement category, we have pitch. So let's check it out. Okay, so right at the middle there, that's the octave that I'm at. If I go down, it's a dropped an octave. And up here it goes up an octave. No, you could definitely get pretty weird with that one. Feels really easy to get to the spot that you're trying to get. I appreciate that. All right, well, there you go. So that's the movement category. The next category is diffusion. That's where you're going to have your things like basically delays and reverbs, I suspect. First up, we have Cascade. Then we have Reels, Space, Collage, Reverse. Let's check out Cascade. Cascade is influenced by the classic sound of Bucket Brigade style analog delays, which is something I have like on the Taiga, for example. And actually the Teo 5 has that as well. I kind of like that. I'm really low already. Let's go halfway and then turn it up. Ooh, yep, you can definitely get into feedback sound. I really like that. That is quite nice. You can see how much room that adds immediately. Very cool. I like that. I like that quite a bit. All right, next we have reels. This is probably going to be what? A tape delay would be my guess. Inspired by expressive sound of well-worn tape echo. There you go. Tape delay. Let's check it out. Trying to get the tap tempo in there. So, you know what? I like this one a lot too. So off. Halfway. All the way. Oh, dude, with a little gesturing in there. Okay, so far I'm a big fan of the diffuse section. The diffusion section is probably going to be living in this section quite a bit. But again, you get to pick one effect from each of these and route it however you want. That's the kind of motivation behind this pedal. Anyway, that's reels, and that's pretty badass. All right, let's go next. We have space. It's probably going to be a reverb, right? Versatile reverb effect that can go from tight recording echo chambers to massive sustaining clouds. All right, I've heard from other people that the reverb is kind of underwhelming here. We'll start at the middle, so we'll see. That sounds pretty good to me. I'm going to get up to halfway and we'll try the different reverbs real quick. So that's almost like a smaller room over here. Now we're getting bigger. This is almost like the size of the room, it feels like. It's probably different kinds of reverbs, but... almost killed the signal and just hearing the reverb now. I'm gonna try all the different reverbs kind of at max here. I think the small ones sound pretty good. I don't know. I think they sound pretty good. I think the reverb sounds pretty good. I will say that one thing that I think is a bit of a disadvantage of this pedal is the reverbs and delays are in the same module. So you can't have a reverb and a delay. You have to choose one or the other. Not a big deal for me because now that I have two accents, you know, I could have some kind of delay effect going on the Zoya or a reverb effect going on the Zoya and, you know, the opposite going on over here. So I can make it work. I'm not too worried about that. All right, let's move on. We've got Collage. Collage is A wild, spontaneous, looping delay. Oh, that sounds like chaos. All right, let's take a listen. So it's almost like a glitch delay, I guess. Again, I think this one would benefit a great deal. Like, leaving it as it is kind of cool. Like, that's pretty rad. That's pretty sexy, but I think it would actually benefit from recording a gesture. Stuff like that. Okay, that... See, now it's sounding tastier than it did at first to me, so... I don't know. That's another good one. Man, so far, I'm quite enjoying. Again, there's this dry. See, it's pretty sick. Now, again, the advantage of my setup is since I would typically be using this as an aux end, I'll be able to mix the dry in quite a bit more. Like, here's the effect. We can go full effect. And then we can mix a bit of the dry in here. So I think that one works a little bit better, where you can still hear the dry, but you're getting those echoes. Like, that's sick. Straight up. All right, cool. Last in here is reverse, which is probably going to do what we think. A reverse delay and variable playback speed and pitch. Sure, I mean, it's something. I don't know how useful that's going to be to me. Not a huge fan of that one. All right, our last category only has one knob, and it's just the effect amount, but we have a filter, we have a squash, which is probably a compressor, we got cassette, broken, and interference. And what do we do to change things? I guess it just controls the intensity of it. All right, so here we go. Sounds like it's a high pass over this way. And a low pass over here. All right, let's try squash. Squash is a heavy-handed compressor and overdrive. So there's dry. So it's basically a one knob compressor. All right, that's cool. Next up, we have cassette. I think I'm going to be a fan of this one. Cassette is a celebration of all things that cassette tape recorders can do. So it's basically a lo-fi, like it's going through a Tascam or something. It's pretty nice. I think if we, again, blend that with a couple other effects, like some pitch modulation and stuff like that, it would be pretty wild. I mean, you're getting a little pitch modulation from this effect. I could hear it. it's just a little garbled. Very nice. All right, next we have Broken, and that's a period. It says periodic pitch drops combined with amplitude and frequency modulation. So it's probably going to be similar to Cassette. And that's actually really nice. That's really low right now. Try. Oh, it gets broken fast. There's halfway. So there's Broken. All right. It's pretty similar to Cassette, I think. But low, it's kind of nice. It almost sounds like a chorusing effect when it's low like that. All right, and then last is Interference. Adds a dissolving layer of musical disturbance to your signal. Let's go full. That's pretty dope. So there you go. That's the Chroma Console in a nutshell. That's all the various different effects, so you can hear what they sound like individually. Now the magic, of course, is combining those effects to create, along with gesture and time and all those kind of things, to create your own custom effects chain. Then the way you do that, by default it goes left to right, but you can reroute it any way you want, as far as I understand it. But you could maybe start with something like Sweeten. Sweeten this up a little bit, and then maybe over here we want to go into, like, say, I don't know, phaser. And then maybe we'll go reels or Cascade. And then last, why don't we go into, I don't know, let's go Cassette. Or Interference. And then maybe we'd want to just kind of adjust the mix level a bit. Boom. So we went from this to that. And I mean, obviously I just dialed this up like super quick, but that's also the advantage of it. Something like the Zoya, which is incredibly deep and you can get anything you want with it. It's pretty complex to program. I'd say even for me, I'm not very good at programming it, but I'm really good at downloading free patches off the internet so I can get a lot of really cool effects. But creating them myself is really hard, and even more importantly, manipulating them in real time is very difficult. So what I appreciate about the Chroma Console is the absolute simplicity in how fast you can just dial something in here. You just twist some knobs until you find something you kind of like, I mean, that sounds sick to me. Took seconds. So yeah, there you go. That's the Chroma Console. Again, how I'm probably going to use it in my setup is an aux send typically, so I can use multiple synths with this. But final thoughts. What do I think? I mean, this is just my first impression, but I think it sounds pretty damn good, and I think I'm going to have a lot of fun with it. I think it's going to add a lot of character, especially in combination with the Zoya, because again, I have 2 aux in, so I could use both. So I'm really excited to see how this is going to help shape some of my songs in the future. Stick around if you want to see how it's going to work, because it's obviously going to feature probably in every song that I make from now on, just as the Zoya does. I hope this was informative. I know this isn't a new pedal, but for those of you that wanted to hear what different effects sounded like, hopefully I gave that to you. If you did find it interesting, if you did find it informative, consider subscribing. It's a huge help to the channel, and we appreciate you to no end. Until next time, I'm Ryan from Oakland Ghost. Ryan out.